Have you ever wondered why so many elderly people who seemed perfectly healthy just a few years ago suddenly and silently fade away around the age of 82? It's not due to a sudden heart attack, an aggressive cancer, or some tragic accident. The cause is much more discreet, insidious, and most worryingly, ignored by almost everyone. I am Dr. Lauren Hart, a specialist in male health, with more than 3 decades dedicated to helping older men not only live longer but live better. Throughout these years, I have followed thousands of patients and studied countless medical research papers, detecting subtle patterns that most doctors tend to ignore. Let me reveal something that can transform your perspective forever. One of the most powerful indicators of longevity after 60 is not related to your blood work, blood pressure, cholesterol, or aerobic capacity. It is hidden in an aspect that almost no one talks about openly, and which, unfortunately, many abandon out of shame, fear, or misconceptions. Today, I will share with you a hidden key to staying full of vitality, independent, and with an alert mind, not just until 80 or 90, but far beyond. The best part is that you won't need expensive medications, exhaustive routines, or restrictive diets. This tool is already inside you, waiting to be activated. I invite you to stay with me because I will guide you step by step through a simple but transformative path that you can start applying today to regain your energy and well-being. What I will share at the end may completely revolutionize your view on aging. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any essential health advice designed to help you stay strong, vital, and self-sufficient. And if you feel this message resonates with you, write 1 in the comments. If you think we can improve, write 0. Your opinion is invaluable and helps us always offer the best. Now that you have an idea of how fundamental this hidden aspect of health is, let's discover together one of the most silent and devastating threats facing the elderly today. A silent epidemic that steals energy, weakens the body, and shortens life prematurely. It is the loss of connection with physical pleasure. This silent disconnection is a phenomenon I have seen repeated many times in my practice. When I talk to patients aged 70, 80, or older, I often notice a quiet sadness in their eyes, as if they have resignedly accepted that life has become grayer, more distant, and less meaningful. As the years have passed, I have identified one of the most profound and devastating changes that accompany aging: a progressive disconnection from their own bodies and from the physical pleasure that once made them feel vibrant and full of life. This is not an easy topic for the elderly to discuss, but it happens everywhere, slowly draining the vitality from men and women, often without them even noticing. At some point, society whispered a dangerous lie: that intimacy, physical contact, and sexual expression are territories exclusive to the young, and that, after a certain age, we should quietly close that door and give up on this essential part of our humanity. Many seniors end up believing this idea, convinced that seeking or enjoying physical pleasure is inappropriate, shameful, or simply impossible at this stage of life. Some withdraw due to physical changes, others due to emotional wounds, and many due to ignorance. They don't know that this aspect is not only possible but absolutely necessary to maintain overall health. What most don't understand is that this disconnection marks the beginning of a very dangerous vicious cycle. The lack of regular stimulation reduces blood flow to vital organs. The neural pathways related to pleasure weaken and atrophy, and hormone levels begin to become unbalanced, favoring a progressive decline. Little by little, the body loses flexibility, strength, and resilience, leaving us more fragile and vulnerable, almost without realizing it. It's not just about sexual intimacy. The impact extends to all levels: mental, emotional, and physical. Sleep deteriorates, mood weakens, and daily energy slowly decreases. Over time, even the immune system silently weakens, and the risk of chronic diseases such as heart problems, dementia, and depression increases, often without immediate perception. I have witnessed this process many times in my practice. Men and women who were once dynamic and full of life begin, without realizing it, to lose that inner spark. It's not because their hearts suddenly failed or their bones became fragile, but because the essence that kept them vital was set aside and forgotten. I don't exaggerate when I say that physical pleasure, intimacy with oneself or with another person, is one of the fundamental pillars of human vitality. Giving this up out of fear, shame, or misinformation not only steals joy, but also shortens years of life. But here comes the good news. There is always hope. Reconnecting with your body and awakening those sensations you may have thought were lost can start a much deeper and more powerful healing process than you imagine. It's never too late to rediscover what your body can still offer. This rediscovery can be the key to unlocking more solid health, a clearer memory, and much greater emotional resilience than you thought possible. Now, what exactly gives physical pleasure this unique power to protect your brain, heart, and future independence? Stay with me, because what you are about to discover can completely transform your view on aging. If you are here and this message resonates with you, write 1 in the comments so I know you are on this journey with me. Let's move on to reveal an impactful truth. Point number 2. Why is masturbation after 60 fundamental for longevity? Over the decades, I have witnessed profound, yet silent transformations in patients who remained connected with their bodies as they aged. Over time, it has become absolutely clear. Maintaining physical pleasure, including solitary sexual expression, is not a superficial luxury, but an essential foundation for lasting health and full longevity. It may be surprising, especially if you grew up in a culture where these topics are treated with discomfort or even shame. But biology, contrary to social norms, sends a clear message. After 60, the body experiences natural changes: decreased blood circulation, reduced hormone production, muscle atrophy, and neurological slowness. However, regular masturbation has been shown to counteract many of these effects. When an older person engages in sexual expression, even without a partner, the body responds in a surprising way. Blood flow increases, reaching the brain, heart, and extremities, nourishing tissues that would otherwise begin to deteriorate. Endorphins are released in large quantities, reducing stress and promoting deeper, more restorative sleep. Testosterone levels also experience a slight increase, helping to maintain muscle mass, bone density, and emotional strength, which are pillars for healthy and active aging. Perhaps the most fascinating is the brain effect. Sexual pleasure activates multiple brain regions simultaneously, keeping the neural pathways related to memory, emotional regulation, and higher cognitive functions alive. Simply put, it keeps the brain young, flexible, and alert. I have seen patients who, by incorporating this practice in a natural and healthy way, not only experience greater mental clarity and creativity, but also report a much more positive and luminous outlook on life. In addition to the physical and biological benefits, there is something even deeper at play. Masturbation after 60 represents much more than a simple physical act. It is a powerful gesture of self-recognition. It is an affirmation that your body remains worthy of care, affection, and pleasure. This act directly contradicts the harmful myth that wants us to believe that aging is synonymous with disappearing or becoming invisible. On the contrary, it is a vibrant reminder that life can still be felt in an intense, full, and deeply personal way. This emotional reconnection with oneself often acts as a catalyst for other positive changes. I have seen that by reclaiming this intimate part of themselves, many of my patients develop new, healthier habits, improve their diet, become interested in social activities again, and feel a renewed desire to move, exercise, and stay active. When they ask me if it's too late to awaken this dimension, I always answer with the same certainty: it's never too late. Your body may need more time, patience, and gentle care, but it remains fully capable of experiencing deep and nourishing sensations that feed your spirit and strengthen your health beyond what you imagine. Now, perhaps you're asking yourself, if the benefits are so great, why do so many older people still struggle to maintain this vital connection? The answer lies in a network of hidden and painful misunderstandings that have taken root for generations. And that is exactly what we are going to unravel. 3 misconceptions that steal the vitality of the elderly. Throughout my years of clinical practice, I have observed how easy it is for strong, life-loving men and women to fall into silent mental traps that slowly wear down their vital energy. They often don't even realize it until they wake up, feeling like shadows of who they were. These beliefs are not just harmless misunderstandings. They are invisible and powerful forces that push the elderly to abandon one of their most potent sources of health and well-being. One of the most painful beliefs I have heard repeatedly is the idea that after a certain age, physical pleasure no longer matters. I can't count how many times I've heard someone say with a sad and resigned smile, "I'm too old for that." But the reality is quite different. Age does not erase your body's capacity or need for intimacy and contact. What changes is how that need manifests. Giving up on this part of yourself because you think it has lost its relevance is like living in a house and never turning on the lights. Of course, you can continue, but you will lose the warmth, colors, and beauty that make life worth living. Another very harmful belief is the idea that seeking pleasure is shameful or immoral. Many people grew up in times when self-pleasure was taboo, something whispered about or viewed with disapproval. These ideas, no matter how old they are, can deepen in the mind and heart, creating layers of guilt that persist even in the last decades of life. But let me say something as clearly and compassionately as possible. Taking care of your own body is not shameful. It is an essential act of self-love, respect for your health, and dignity for your existence. There is also a dangerous myth that suggests that conserving sexual energy helps preserve physical strength. However, the reality is exactly the opposite. Regular sexual activity, including self-exploration, nourishes all the body's systems, stimulates hormones, maintains blood circulation, and protects tissue health. Just like a muscle that weakens from lack of use, the parts of our body dedicated to pleasure also need to be activated regularly to stay alive and vibrant. And perhaps the most damaging misconception of all is the belief that sexual health is separate from general health. The truth is, they are deeply interconnected and influence each other in ways that modern science is just beginning to understand. When you take care of one, you strengthen the other. When you neglect one, both suffer. Understanding these misconceptions is only the first step to recovering the vibrant and powerful life you still have ahead. But knowing is enough. Knowledge is only half the battle. What you really need to follow is a clear and practical map, a path that allows you to reconnect with your body naturally, comfortably, and safely. And that's exactly where we're going now. If you are still here and feel that these learnings add value to your life, I invite you to write 1 in the comments so I know you are walking beside me in this process. Now let's move forward together to discover the fundamental lessons that await us in point 4. Fourth, the restoration method, a step-by-step process to recover sexual vitality. When I began to accompany elderly patients on their journey of reconnection with their bodies, I realized something crucial. It's not enough to offer words of encouragement. Most needed more than motivation. They needed a real, concrete, practical method, something they could follow with confidence and without fear of making a mistake. Thus, the restoration method was born, developed specifically to respect the particularities of a body that has gone through decades of life, honoring the natural changes of time while rekindling that vital connection between mind and body that is often lost. Step 1. Preparation. The first step is preparation. Before anything else, it is fundamental to create a space in which you feel completely safe, relaxed, and free of distractions. Adjust the room's temperature to your liking. Choose a comfortable chair or bed, and have a high-quality lubricant on hand. Although they seem like small details, these acts send a powerful message to your mind and body. You are important and your health deserves time, attention, and care. Step 2. Relaxation. The next step is relaxation. This is not a race, nor is it a task to be completed. Start by breathing deeply, letting your muscles slowly relax as you feel your heart rate calm down. Imagine that the tension is leaving your body like sand, gently slipping through your fingers. This act of presence, of fully inhabiting your body in the moment, can open doors to sensations that you may have believed were lost forever. Step 3. Awakening. Then comes awakening. This is the phase where you gently and curiously explore areas of your body that you may have ignored for years. Inner thighs, lower abdomen, chest. Touch these areas with lightness, without judgment, just observing how your body responds even to the most subtle signals. Every small response is a beautiful reminder that your body is still alive and eager to reconnect with you. Step 4. Focused stimulation. After that, focused stimulation arrives without haste or expectations. Gradually introduce a more direct touch, allowing excitement to arise naturally and at your own pace. Using slow and conscious movements instead of rapid ones creates a depth of sensation often lost when we act in a hurry. The goal here is not to quickly reach a final destination, but to savor the experience, letting your body guide you. Step 5. Integration. Finally, we reach integration. This is the moment to stop, take a deep breath, and be grateful for choosing to invest in your well-being. Allow yourself to enjoy this feeling of vitality, whether it is subtle or intense. In this silent act of recognition, healing begins to take deep root. This method has nothing to do with trying to relive the past. It is about fully embracing who you are today, with all the wisdom, strength, and tenderness accumulated over the years. And I assure you that once you experience even a small spark of reconnection, you will understand the enormous potential that still lives within you. However, even with the right method, the path is not always easy. There are common obstacles that can easily interfere with your progress if you don't recognize them in time. In the next part, I will show you exactly how to avoid the most frequent mistakes made by many elderly people so that you can remain firm on your path toward lasting vitality. 5. Overcoming challenges. What to expect and how to achieve success. Whenever I accompany someone on this journey with the restoration method, I repeat a fundamental truth. True change rarely follows a straight line. It is completely normal to encounter moments of doubt, frustration, or even discouragement along the way. I have seen this situation repeat many times. It's not because people don't have a genuine desire to heal, but because, without realizing it, they fall into traps that make the path much more difficult than it needs to be. Knowing what to expect and how to react can make the difference between giving up and transforming your health and vitality in a lasting way. One of the most common challenges is unrealistic expectations. Many elderly people assume that if they do everything right, they should immediately feel like they did when they were 20. When this doesn't happen, disappointment can take over. But the truth is, your body has changed, and that's not a failure. It's simply part of life. Success now is not measured by how quickly you achieve intense pleasure, but by the depth with which you can reconnect with your sensations, comfort, and presence in the moment. Even the smallest progress is a valuable sign that healing is happening at the deepest level. Another frequent obstacle is inconsistency. Just as strengthening a muscle or regaining flexibility requires constancy, rebuilding your sensual connection also needs regular practice. Doing it only occasionally, when the opportunity arises, is like watering a plant once a month and expecting it to bloom. Dedicate time 2 or 3 times a week, not as an obligation, but as an act of respect for yourself. You will see that your body will begin to respond to this kindness in ways that will slowly surprise you. The pressure to get results is another silent enemy. When you obsess over achieving a specific result, you create tension in the very muscles and blood vessels that need to relax. Free yourself from the idea that every session must end in a certain way. Embrace the process. any feeling of pleasure, no matter how small, is a victory that deserves to be celebrated, not judged in comparison with memories of youth. Finally, shame can be lurking in the background, silently sabotaging your efforts. Many people carry old and hidden feelings that whisper to them, "This isn't right," or "You shouldn't need this." If that voice appears, face it with compassion, not judgment. Remember, seeking pleasure is not selfishness or superficiality. It is a fundamental act of honoring the wonderful body you still inhabit. Overcoming these obstacles is not always easy, but the effort is worth every moment. Every step you take, every act of patience and tenderness with yourself, strengthens not only your sexual vitality, but also your spirit and emotional resilience. And as you gain confidence, you may find yourself ready to embrace something even greater. The complete restoration of your health and energy through a simple but deeply transformative system created specifically for this stage of life. Prepare yourself, because what I am about to share may be the most powerful change you have ever undertaken. As we reach the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with an essential truth. Your body, your health, and your right to experience pleasure do not have an expiration date. They do evolve, but they do not disappear. Reclaiming this part of yourself does not mean chasing youth, but honoring the life that still flows within you, the strength that has sustained you through decades of challenges, and that unbreakable spirit that refuses to give up. I have seen men and women in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s rekindle a spark they thought had gone out forever. And along with that spark, they found renewed health, strengthened confidence, and unexpected joy. You deserve this too. It all starts with one decision: to believe that you are still capable, worthy, and truly alive in every sense. Begin. Be patient and gentle with yourself. Remember, every step toward reconnecting with your body is a step toward a future filled not only with more years, but with more life in every year. Your story is still being written today. Choose to write it with the strength, dignity, and fullness you have always deserved.